So it has all the flaws of a first novel. And that's one of the reasons I find it very hard to read that one again, because I would be, oh, this is. And even when I'm doing a reading in public, which I hate doing, so I very seldom do it. But when I'm doing a reading from any of my books, and as I'm reading, I'm actually sometimes changing what I'm reading from the page. Because when I get to a point there, it's like, oh, this is bad, this is terrible, or this, I'm going to stumble over this word, so I skip that and then I change it. I think all actors do that, right?
Writers change while they're reading.
You don't have writers with red pen.
I do, and sometimes I skip entire sentences as well because I feel it's not good enough, so or it's going to, I'm going to bore people here, so I'll just skip it. That's why I don't do reading because I just don't like it.
So we're in a bookstore, clearly, and we've referenced Mom. I want to return to House of Doors a little bit because when we spoke previously, you mentioned companion pieces, and I thought it would be good to recommend, as people pick up copies of the House of Doors, what other companion pieces might be good to read alongside.
Well, I really would hope that you go and read the letter after you finish the House of Doors, because in many ways, House of Doors is sort of the origin story of how Moore wrote the letter. It is a reverse engineering process that I've done here. A lot of the elements in the house and the letter have been brought back into the House of Doors. I mentioned to you as well, I see these two works as mirrors, so that once you finish reading the House of Doors and you read the letter, it's going to change how you perceive the letter if you hadn't read the House of Doors. So it's, and because of how the change of your perception of the letter, it will reflect back on what you think of the House of Doors. And in this way, the process goes back and forth until I hope, as one reader mentioned somewhere, she was so confused that she didn't know which one came first, and she thought that the House of Doors was real because of what happened in the letter and how it was written. And then she said, no, this is all fictional. And then she said, I give up. I don't know what. And let's see. I hope you experience it, because at its heart, the House of Doors is about the process of creation, the art of writing, and how writers come up with their stories, how they get written, and how stories get transformed by the people telling them across time.
So speaking of Mom, actually, I think he isn't necessarily discussed or held up in the way some of his
esteem.
Yes, in the same esteem as some of his other contemporaries. Why would you say Mom is still worth revisiting, and what did you draw from the kind of writing he did?
One of the reviewers in The Guardian, when they reviewed this book, he had a very interesting sentence, which I repeat everywhere. And he said, Somerset Maugham, a writer who is out of fashion, but never out of print. And you have to think, why is it that he is never out of print? First of all, the language he uses is very simple, very clear. He's not into frills. He's not into pretty writing. So that helps transcend generations as well. It's easy to read his books. But what keeps him in print is, I think he is always writing about human frailties. People presume that Maugham is popular because he wrote about adultery, murder, extramarital affairs, and forbidden love and all that. But no, he wrote about that, yes, but what he was actually writing about, what he was writing against, was hypocrisy of human beings. He hated that because he was a victim of the hypocrisy of his times, yet he was also a hypocrite in many ways. So I think that's the thing that endures this sense of injustice that he was writing about. And also let's not ignore the fact that he wrote some very damn good stories. The storytelling element is what will keep readers reading, coming back again and again to it. So that's why one of the reasons also that I emphasize the story so much in all my books. You wanted to explore heavy themes, you need a very sturdy vehicle to convey these themes from point A to point Z. And the story is your vehicle. So the heavier your themes, the stronger your story, your truck, your vehicle has to be to bring your reader on a journey. So the story has to be very important for me.
You also talked about characters earlier and the importance of you trying to be able to write characters that are real, that feel real. And Mom, along with many of the other characters in this book, aren't necessarily likable. They don't do the moral things always. They don't do the correct things always. They don't always like each other that much even. How do you factor that in when you're writing your characters?
Well, it's great that the characters don't do moral things because that's what makes them interesting to read, isn't it? You don't want to read some goody two shoes Mary Sue thing where she's always perfect and doing everything that's right. What fascinates us, what makes us keep on turning the pages is how this unmoral character affects the people around him and himself, and how he's going to pull himself out of the mess that his own unmoral actions cause. I think that's what keeps us interested in reading. And it's great, it's very fun to write about these characters. I have so much fun writing about these persons and rather than the saint, where everything goes well and